Hi, I'm a supervisor.
And I'm a PSE union steward. Did you know that when a supervisor,
Like me,
calls you into a meeting that could lead to discipline, you are entitled to have a representation, like me? These meetings are called Weingarten meetings.
but an HR director, principal, or supervisor like me isn't required to tell an employee of their right to representation. The employee has to ask for it.
That's right. Although some contracts have that bargaining provision in them that notification is required. Either way, union members must be given time to contact their PSE representative or shop steward prior to the meeting.
I know. I learned my lesson last time.
The Weingarten rule applies to all of these supervisory investigations that could result in disciplinary findings.
Now, we are going to show you some examples that will help you represent a coworker during a Weingarten meeting.
For a PSE union steward, the first step is to meet with the employee and find out as much as possible. Let's see how this PSE union steward handles this specific situation.
Thank you so much for being here for this meeting today. I am really nervous.
I'm happy to help and glad you called. Can you tell me a little bit more about what happened?
Well, I showed up for work on Monday at my normal time, and when I got to the classroom, the teacher told me that I was late. I have no idea what she was talking about. And then I get this investigation letter. I'm really scared. I've never been in trouble before.
Did anyone inform you that you needed to come in early on Monday?
You know, I did get an email from the principal on Saturday telling me to come in an hour early, but it was the weekend, and honestly, I didn't see that message until after everything happened on Monday.
The employer is required to give you a 2-week notice before any shift change, according to our collective bargaining agreement. And we're going to bring that up at the meeting. I want you to know they're going to be asking some questions at the meeting, and it's possible that HR is going to be present on request by the principal. It's important to always remain honest, keep your answers short and concise. If you don't know the answer to a question, just say, "I don't remember." But the most important part is to remain truthful.
All right, I'm just so glad I don't have to go to this meeting alone.
That's what your union is for. If at any point during this meeting you decide you need to take a break, just let me know, tap me on my shoulder, and we can step outside. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Thank you both for coming in today. So, Becky, we're here meeting today because your usual shift is from 8:30 to 3:30, but I asked you to come in at 7:30 to cover Marta's shift, who's out on leave. So why were you late?
Well, I didn't see your email until after everything happened on Monday. And besides, I'm a single mom and I don't have childcare for my daughter before my shift starts. I told you that when I was interviewing and you said it wouldn't be an issue.
According to the copy of the email I have, you sent this on a Saturday?
Yeah, so why weren't you checking your email every day?
It was a weekend. I didn't know I was supposed to check my work email on a weekend.
I'd like to discuss that further since Becky is an hourly employee. The employer should not be sending in emails to employees and expecting them to be read on the weekend, unless they are on call and it's paid for. There are currently no on-call provisions in her contract. Classified employees are hourly, whereas certificated employees are not, such as teachers.
I mean, we've sent emails over the weekend in the past and it hasn't been a big deal. I mean, the fact still remains. Becky didn't show up for her shift on time.
Calm down. Why would you not notify HR and get a sub? There is a process to utilize for absences.
I appreciate you wanting to help Becky out, but I'm going to need Becky to be answering the questions. And I don't need you to question me.
I understand that, and she's more than willing to answer your questions.
Okay, so you brought up the contract. Doesn't it say that if there's going to be a shift change, that there has to be a 2-week notification in advance, in writing? That didn't happen. And what about Saturday and Sunday being our days off?
I'm going to need to review the contract to confirm that.
Just so happens I have a copy of the contract right here. I've highlighted the relevant sections that describe an employer's obligation to notify employees of any shift changes or potential shift changes. Also, it notes in there that Saturdays and Sundays are days of rest.
Well, thank you for providing this copy of the contract to me. I'm going to need a few moments to review that and get back to you. Those are all my questions, so thank you for coming in today.
Well, how do you think that went?
I think it went well. We have a strong case that the employer was in violation of the contract. If they pursue any further discipline, we can grieve it, so let me know. But I don't think they'll pursue this any further.
I'm so glad. I really appreciate that you're here today.
That is what being a union steward is for. Also, I did notice that it looks like you're not a member in good standing for our chapter.
I know. I really can't afford the dues. I'm going back to school. I'm on a tight budget.
Believe me, I understand, but you can't really afford to not pay dues. Did you know on our last contract negotiation, we got a 9% raise for all the employees? The employer only wanted to give us 3%, and we got a 6% above that. That raise alone is more than enough to cover your cost of dues. Your dues are very minimal in comparison to the raise you just received.
Wow. I had no idea.
The meeting today is also a great example of why we need to have everyone join and strengthen our union and power in numbers. If more people choose to not join, we won't be able to represent our coworkers effectively. Plus, the benefits and wage increases far outweigh the cost of union dues. Believe me, I'm also on a tight budget. I just want to leave you with a sheet of our wins that we negotiated in our last contract, along with a QR code. We would love to have you join our family.
Well, thank you so much for your help and all of this information. I truly did not know all this stuff. You know what? How can I say no after hearing all that? I'm going to go ahead and sign up today.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, not every situation will go as well as it did with Becky's.
In this next scenario, an HR director sent an investigatory letter to an employee about being in arrears on sick leave, also known as deduct or unpaid leave.
The employee contacted their union shop steward to attend the investigatory meeting. Let's see how it goes.
Joe, I've noticed you've had quite a few absences over the last few months, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but you have a negative sick leave balance, and you're still calling in sick. Can you tell me what's going on with that?
No one ever told me that. I thought I still had sick leave on the books. And also, I'm recovering from knee surgery, and my boss knows that.
Regardless, you've called out 10 times in the last 2 months.
May we have a copy of that documentation?
I don't have any copies on hand. Joe, are you aware of our policy regarding absences?
I think I read it at some point, but that would have been when I was hired, so it was a while ago.
Well, it's a violation of our policy for you to take unpaid time when you don't have any sick leave left.
So can we have a copy of the policy and the documentation?
I can get it for you. All staff receive it, and we do an annual review.
My understanding is that these absences wouldn't count under FMLA.
Well, there's no record of FMLA or PFMLA in her file, and she's not on extended leave.
Okay. I don't believe that Joe was made aware by admin that she qualified for FMLA, so can I get a copy for her and I of the policy?
Both you and Joe received copies of the policy on hire. It's up to the employee to be proactive about their medical situation and inform the employer if they believe they're eligible for FMLA.
Okay, well, I don't think anyone ever told me, like, how to go see how much sick leave I have left. And also, no one ever told me that I was out either.
Yeah, so if Joe wasn't aware if she didn't have any sick leave left, how's she even supposed to figure it out if nobody told her?
Well, I need to review the contract language to see if it's the employer's responsibility, but I believe it's up to the employee. And Joe, I really need you to answer the questions, and I need you to do less questioning of me.
I understand that, but I'm here so that she and I can conduct the meeting, and I will make sure that she gets everything that she needs.
I can give you copies, but Joe, you have no FMLA leave available. And I have to follow the policy and give you a written warning.
Are you serious? I honestly can't believe this is happening.
So can we just have a moment?
Sure, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm just feeling super frustrated. No one ever told me anything. And also, I feel like she's lying because I didn't receive a copy of that report or whatever.
I know this is frustrating, but we will do what we can. She will get copies of the policy, and I will also request records of other employees who have been deducted in sick leave and see the outcomes. That way, we can gauge what the past practice has been and go from there.
Okay.
We will also review the contract and see what responsibility falls on the employer to notify you and your FMLA options.
Okay. Yeah, I just honestly feel like this isn't something I should be worrying about when I am trying to recover from knee surgery, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, what happens after I get written up?
So when she comes back with the written warning, you'll be asked to sign it, but that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong.
Okay.
It just acknowledges that you've received it, and we can file a grievance, and then we might find them in a violation.
Yeah. I can't believe this is happening.
Well, you did the right thing by calling me. As union members, we have the right to representation for meetings like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you helping me through this and also just walking me through the steps, moving on.
Sure. If you're interested in helping your coworkers in a similar way, they could use the help. I'd be happy to give you our chapter president's contact info, and I can show you a little more about being a building rep as we navigate through this investigation together.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. I mean, anything I can do to help another employee who management is treating this way, I would love to do that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Sure.
As you saw in this scenario, some of the best practices for shop stewards and building reps are to take notes, bring up extenuating circumstances, ask for documentation, and take a break if needed.
For our final scenario, you'll see how an investigatory meeting can also be an opportunity to address issues like scheduling with the employee and the union. Let's see what happens.
I've worked here for 5 years, and I've never run into this issue before. They're not scheduling me passing time between classes, and I'm supporting multiple teachers. They can't seriously expect me to do that, can they?
Luke, before the principal gets here, can you go over your schedule with me one more time, please?
Sure, yeah. So I finish in Miss Jones' class at 10:30, and then I'm supposed to start in Mr. Smith's class at 10:30 as well. So I told Mr. Smith that I need time to get to his class, but he doesn't care. He says that small groups are starting late, and then he just got angry with me because class hasn't been starting on time. And he's also not the easiest to work with.
Have you tried asking Mrs. Jones if you can leave her class a few minutes early?
Yes, but then her students won't have their full breakout time, and I'll be leaving during cleanup. And I felt bad about all this, but then I got this investigation letter from the principal, and I'm just stressed out.
Well, I really think you've tried hard to work this out with your teachers, but I want to remind you that they are not your supervisors. If you have these issues in the future, please reach out to your principal or your union leadership for support.
I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming today. Here is a copy of the investigation letter for you. As you can see, we're here to investigate a tardiness issue today. Is there a reason that you've been consistently late to Mr. Smith's class, Luke?
Yeah, there's not enough time to get from Miss Jones' class to the other class. I finished with her students at 10:30, and I'm supposed to start with Mr. Smith's students at 10:30 as well.
Well, Mr. Smith is very upset, and it's really impacting his classroom.
Respectfully, is Luke the only person expected to be in two places at once?
That is not the expectation. We just need Luke to get to class on time.
Have you been able to review his schedule?
I did prior to this meeting. We don't have coverage to adjust, so we really just need Luke to make this work. And until then, I need you to sign this written warning for your tardiness, Luke.
Are you sure there aren't any other employees that are having these scheduling issues in your building?
We are here today to talk about Luke, but you know that we're short-staffed. And so that's why it's very important for all paras to make this schedule work.
Well, we do not agree with this discipline, and after this meeting, we will likely be filing our own grievance.
Okay, but we still need Luke to sign and acknowledge receipt.
Okay. Signing doesn't mean that you agree to the discipline. Our contract states that we have 10 days to file a grievance. That would be the 23rd of this month. Is that correct?
That looks correct to me.
Okay. Well, thank you for the copy of this letter. We will also need copies of the attendance documents, the classroom schedules, and the employee tardiness policy. We will also need schedules for the rest of the employees in your building.
I will have HR send the copies.
Thank you. Would you mind if we use this room for a little bit?
By all means. Thank you both.
This is ridiculous.
They've known about these staffing issues for some time. This is a great opportunity for us to hold them accountable. I know other paras in your building have been having these issues too.
They need to figure this out. I mean, I can't believe they launched an investigation into something that's their fault.
We'll fight it, and we'll file our grievance. It's a step-by-step process. In the meantime, here's a copy of our contract. And remember, you can also go to our PSE portal for a digital copy. It's always good to be familiar with your contract. Do you have any other questions?
Not right now, but you'll keep me posted on the grievance thing, right?
Absolutely. Here's my card and some contact information for our chapter leaders. You can email or call me at any time, and I'll be in touch as soon as they give us the documentation for our grievance.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Luke.
Sometimes the union has no choice but to file a grievance when combating unfair discipline.
Remember, no matter how a supervisor like me, or them, acts during a Weingarten meeting, as a union steward, you are equal and on the same status as management.
So don't be intimidated.
It's also a good idea to keep a cool head and be professional, even if your supervisor isn't giving you the same.
Stand in your power. Don't let management beat you down. You're fighting for the rights and protections of your fellow union members.
Over time, you'll gain confidence and experience.
You are a part of a larger group of union stewards who help represent all of us.
It won't be long before you're training other stewards to represent members when a supervisor decides to send an investigation letter.
Don't forget to visit the PSE member portal for additional resources for leaders. It's also a good idea to continue familiarizing yourself with your contract.
Thanks for stepping up.
Together, PSC members are unified in building a stronger union. We are
PSE!